Stay away from people who ask for these 5 things. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. Welcome to Spiritual Wisdom, where we dive deep into the truths that awaken and empower. Today's message is a powerful reminder. Your peace, energy, and time are sacred. There are certain requests people make that, if accepted, can slowly drain your spirit and pull you off your path. In this video, we'll uncover 5 things no one should ever ask of you, and why setting boundaries around them is not selfish, but essential for your growth and happiness. Have you ever felt like someone crossed a line with their demands? Or that you were giving too much, too often, and receiving too little in return? Drop a comment below and let us know how you've learned to protect your peace. And if this message speaks to your soul, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to join others on this journey of conscious living. 1. You've come too far to be weighed down by others. You've come too far, endured too much, and grown through pain, silence, and awakening to let yourself be pulled backward by someone else's unresolved chaos. At this stage in your life, emotional survival is no longer enough. It's about spiritual preservation. Carl Jung believed that the process of individuation demands separation from what no longer serves the self. That means stepping away from people who confuse your kindness with obligation and expect you to carry emotional loads that were never yours to bear. You are not anyone's emergency contact for their emotional recklessness. You're not a lifeline for people who refuse to swim. There are those who will reach for you every time they're drowning, but never once learn how to float. They don't want healing, they want escape. They don't want to change, they want comfort. And that comfort often comes at the cost of your peace, your focus, and your forward movement. When you constantly rescue others from themselves, you end up abandoning your own journey. It's not selfish to step away. It's self-honoring. Some won't ask directly for your energy. They'll guilt you into giving it. They'll remind you of what they've done for you, of the loyalty you owe them, or how you're being cold for needing space. But guilt is a silent thief. It's emotional manipulation in disguise. Jung warned us of projections of how others cast their unhealed parts onto us and then expect us to fix what was never ours to begin with. The moment love begins to feel like a trap, a contract, or an unpaid debt, it's no longer love. It's control. And control is the opposite of connection. There will also be people who don't value your presence, just your availability. They want your time, but not your truth. They don't want your soul, only your usefulness. They show up when it's convenient for them and disappear when you need something real. And the more predictable your yes becomes, the more they take it for granted. Your time is sacred. Every hour you give away to people who drain you is an hour stolen from your purpose. Choose silence over shallow conversations. Choose stillness over performance. You owe no one an explanation for valuing your own energy. Perhaps the most dangerous expectation is the one that asks you to dim your light, to make yourself smaller so others don't feel insecure, to water down your joy so someone else can feel comfortable in their own shadow. But your happiness is not a betrayal. Your peace is not arrogance. You are not responsible for someone else's discomfort in the presence of your growth. The right people won't ask you to choose between love and self-respect. They won't demand that you stay the same so they don't have to grow. They will evolve with you, not resent you for changing. Spiritual wisdom means learning when to walk away, not out of bitterness, but from a deep understanding that your energy is your responsibility. You weren't born to carry the weight of everyone else's unhealed wounds. You were born to become whole, and that wholeness requires boundaries, clarity, and courage. Comment below, I release what's not mine to carry, if you're ready to protect your peace and honor how far you've come. Let this be your declaration. Your energy is sacred, and your journey deserves lightness, not burdens. 2. Don't take responsibility for what isn't yours. Saying yes to problems that aren't yours may look noble on the surface, but over time, it quietly turns you into someone else's emotional caretaker, unpaid, unseen, and exhausted. What starts as a small favor, a supportive gesture, quickly morphs into a one-sided responsibility. You begin carrying emotional weight that isn't meant for you, and while they feel lighter, you feel increasingly burdened. That's not love, it's self-abandonment. In many relationships, especially those built on emotional dependency, people learn how to guilt others into carrying their pain. They don't ask directly, but the way they sigh, the way they say, "You're the only one I can talk to," makes you feel responsible for their healing. But you're not. You were never supposed to be the solution to someone else's avoidance of growth. Carrying burdens that don't belong to you leads to burnout, resentment, and a slow disconnection from your own needs. Think about how many times you've stayed on the phone too long, skipped your own rest, or absorbed someone else's crisis just to keep the peace. That isn't compassion, it's a pattern. And that pattern trains others to expect your availability, not appreciate it. Carl Jung understood this deeply when he said, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." And if what you do is overextend for others, neglecting your own path, you begin to live for others instead of living as yourself. Modern life romanticizes selflessness. You'll hear phrases like "ride or die," or "real friends show up no matter what." But at what cost? If showing up for others means constantly walking out on yourself, the relationship is unbalanced. An unbalanced love is not love, it's emotional servitude. You end up in silent suffering, tired not because you're weak, but because your energy has been misdirected for too long. This emotional misalignment often goes unnoticed until your body begins to feel it. Fatigue, tension, frustration, or an overwhelming sense of being off. These aren't random signs. They are signals that your energy is being spent where it doesn't belong. The remedy isn't to give more, it's to pull back. When you refuse to carry what isn't yours, you're not being cold or unkind. You're practicing energetic integrity. You are reclaiming space for your own growth. Saying no doesn't make you hard. It makes you clear. It tells the universe you are ready to stop being a dumping ground for other people's emotional clutter. It tells your inner self that you are worth preserving. And when you start protecting your energy like it's sacred, which it is, everything changes. The people who stayed only because you carried their load will fade. And those who honor your boundaries will remain. That's how you know you're healing. Are you ready to stop carrying what was never yours to hold? If so, comment below. I release what's not mine to affirm your choice to protect your peace and reclaim your energy. 3. Lending money can be a dangerous trap. Lending money out of guilt is one of the easiest traps to fall into and one of the hardest to escape. It starts small, a favor here, a little help there, but soon it becomes a cycle. Not because the need grows, but because the expectation does. What you thought was compassion slowly turns into a silent contract you never signed. The worst part is, it's often family or close friends who create this emotional bind. They know your soft spots, and they know how to press them. Suddenly, saying no isn't just about money. It's about your identity as a good person, a loyal daughter, a responsible sibling. The guilt creeps in, wrapping around you like a chain disguised as love. But true kindness does not come from sacrifice that leaves you empty. It does not ask you to abandon your peace, to rescue someone from the consequences of their own choices. When people repeatedly ask for money, especially without any intention of change or accountability, it's rarely about the money. It's about access to your emotional energy, your time, and your sense of obligation. And often, it's powered by manipulation. The silent threat of disappointment, the dramatic stories, the subtle reminders of all they've done for you in the past, these are not requests. They're unspoken demands. Carl Jung said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls." And that includes offloading responsibility onto those who are too compassionate to say no. When you lend out of guilt, you're not just giving money, you're enabling avoidance. You're allowing others to delay their growth while you carry their weight. And that weight adds up, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. It starts affecting your sleep, your focus, your sense of safety. You begin to feel resentful, but still trapped, still silent. And then comes the emotional backlash. When you finally say no, the mask drops. You're labeled selfish, cold, or ungrateful. Not because you did anything wrong, but because you broke the cycle. You removed the convenience. And people who depended on your guilt don't respond well to boundaries. They lash out, not because you're wrong, but because you're no longer useful in the way they want. But your energy is not a currency to be spent on emotional debts. Your life is not a rescue mission for those unwilling to grow. True love respects limits. True connection honors mutual effort. If someone loves you only when you say yes, then their love is a performance, not a truth. Protect your peace. Say no without explanation. And remember, helping someone does not mean saving them. You can offer support without surrendering your stability. You can care deeply and still walk away. Because your energy is sacred. Your stability is not a gift to be traded for validation or approval. And your peace is worth more than anyone's temporary comfort. If this message spoke to your spirit, repeat after me. I protect my peace and value my boundaries. I no longer feel guilty for saying no. Let this be your declaration of freedom from guilt, pressure, and emotional manipulation. 4. Don't involve yourself in family conflicts. Sometimes the greatest act of love is refusing to be dragged into someone else's war, especially when that war is rooted in family conflict, inheritance disputes, unresolved childhood resentment, or toxic loyalty loops passed down through generations. You are not here to be a peace treaty for people who are committed to misunderstanding each other. You are not the healer of wounds you didn't create. Carl Jung once said that the unlived lives of our parents often become the silent burdens of their children. And in many families, that burden shows up as emotional blackmail masked as duty. You are asked to fix what others broke, to carry the weight of dysfunction just because you were born into it. But just because something is family doesn't mean it's yours to repair. When someone expects you to take sides in a dispute that never involved you, what they're really asking is for you to sacrifice your clarity for their chaos. They may disguise it as a plea for help. Just talk to them for me. Or, you're the only one they'll listen to. But underneath, it's often a trap. A setup that puts you at the center of blame the moment things fall apart. These emotional entanglements rarely come with peace offerings. They come with silent expectations, twisted loyalties, and the slow erosion of your boundaries. The truth is, most people don't want resolution. They want validation for their pain. And if you offer your presence, they'll drain your spirit to feed their narrative. You must understand, protecting your peace is not betrayal. It's survival. Emotional neutrality doesn't make you heartless. It makes you wise. Because love that demands your silence and dysfunction is not love, it's control. You can wish someone well and still walk away. You can hope for healing and still refuse to be the glue holding broken pieces together. Your energy is sacred, and when you let guilt override your intuition, you surrender that energy to battles that don't deserve it. Choosing distance from family conflict isn't cruelty. It's clarity. Not everyone has earned the right to access your emotional space. You don't need to apologize for refusing to be the messenger, the mediator, or the martyr. In fact, refusing to play those roles might be the most powerful message you can send. Because some people only start healing when they lose the one who always tried to fix things. You owe no one your inner peace. Let them misunderstand you. Let them call you selfish. Let them talk. Silence, in this case, is protection. You are not here to be devoured by inherited pain or to be a cushion for unresolved tension. You are here to grow, to breathe, to live free from the constant noise of other people's projections. So, if anyone ever tries to drag you into their emotional battlefield, ask yourself, is this mine to carry? And if it's not, put it down. Walk away, not in anger, but in wisdom. Because your peace is not a gift you hand over to people who haven't even earned your presence. It's a boundary, and you have every right to protect it. If you're ready to protect your peace and stop carrying what was never yours to fix, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's stand together in wisdom and emotional freedom. Five, don't let anyone ask you to change who you are. People may ask you to change your identity, your daily rituals, your tone, even your core values, just to make them more comfortable. This isn't love. It's emotional manipulation. And when it comes from your own children, the pain hits differently. Because somewhere deep down, many parents believe they owe their children their silence, their compliance, and their constant emotional sacrifice. But that belief is not only false, it's dangerous. You are not meant to vanish into roles others assign to you. You are here to live your truth, fully and unapologetically. When someone pressures you to tone it down, what they're really saying is, I prefer you small. I prefer you edited. That is emotional invalidation. It's the subtle kind of rejection that doesn't shout, but it erodes. It whispers that your way of living, your beliefs, your presence is somehow wrong or too much. And over time, if you absorb those messages, you begin to erase yourself. You start second-guessing the things that once brought you joy. You begin apologizing for simply being. And that is not the life you fought so hard to build. There's a woman named Maria who lived this. She used to wear colorful scarves, play folk music in the mornings, and lead meditation at the community center. But after her daughter told her she was embarrassing and needed to act her age, Maria stopped. She muted her colors, silenced her joy, and thought she was being a good mother by disappearing a little. Years passed. Her energy dimmed. Her spirit wilted. Until one day, she looked in the mirror and asked, "Who have I become?" That moment became her turning point. She chose herself again. She remembered that her uniqueness wasn't a flaw. It was her gift. The people who ask you to change who you are often have not accepted who they are. Their discomfort is a mirror reflecting their own inner conflicts. Don't carry that for them. Don't bleed yourself dry trying to win their love. You are not here to please. You are here to be. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And that privilege is sacred. So protect your sacred self. Refuse to apologize for your evolution. Refuse to accommodate those who only loved the version of you that stayed silent, agreeable, and invisible. You do not need to shrink to keep peace. You do not need to dull your light to make others feel safe in their shadows. Let them adjust their eyes or let them walk away. But you stay whole. If this message resonates with your soul, comment below. I honor who I am, unapologetically. Let the world know you're no longer shrinking to make others comfortable. Your truth deserves to be seen and celebrated. 6. Don't be forced to prioritize others' feelings over your own. There is a subtle kind of emotional manipulation that often hides in plain sight. It wears the mask of care, of concern, of closeness. But underneath it all, it's a quiet demand. Make me more comfortable, even if it costs you your joy. You may have heard it in soft-spoken guilt, in a sigh when you said no, or in the disappointed silence that follows when you choose yourself. And each time, without realizing it, you hand over a small piece of your power because someone else's comfort is allowed to matter more than your truth. When others constantly expect you to shrink yourself to keep peace, what they are really asking is for you to sacrifice your authenticity for their convenience. That's not care. That's control. It's not compromise. It's emotional blackmail disguised as love. And the more you give into it, the more you lose access to your real self. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But becoming that person often requires confronting the people who benefit from you staying small. These are the ones who praise your selflessness until it means saying no to them. The ones who admire your strength until your strength begins to create boundaries. They want the version of you that's always available, always agreeable, always soft, even when it hurts you. When someone asks you to put their emotional needs before your own truth, they are not asking for connection. They're asking for control of the narrative. They want to shape your decisions so they can feel better about their own lives. And when you resist, they call you selfish, distant, or cold. But the truth is, choosing yourself is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of healing. It is the reclaiming of your sacred right to exist as a full human being, flawed, complex, and free. You were not born to be someone else's emotional caretaker. You are not here to manage other people's reactions to your growth. And you are certainly not responsible for calming their insecurities every time you evolve. The more you shape yourself to please others, the more you disappear from your own story. That is a quiet death of the soul when your life becomes a stage for someone else's drama. Some people will try to make you feel guilty for choosing peace. They'll say, "You've changed," as if it's a crime. But that accusation is often a sign you're moving in the right direction. Because the people who truly love you don't ask you to abandon yourself to prove your love. They don't ask you to sacrifice your well-being so they can avoid discomfort. They celebrate your evolution, even when it challenges them. They want you to live fully, not just to exist in a role that makes them feel safe. Stay away from people who ask for these things. Your silence when your soul wants to speak. Your guilt when you've done nothing wrong. Your energy when they offer nothing in return. Your presence when it costs you your peace. And your joy when it makes them feel insecure. These are not small requests. These are violations of your emotional sovereignty. And the more you say yes to them, the more you'll find yourself living a life that doesn't feel like your own. You are not selfish for wanting space. You are not cruel for protecting your peace. And you are not wrong for choosing yourself over someone else's comfort. In fact, that may be the bravest thing you ever do. Because in a world that constantly demands your obedience, your true freedom lies in your refusal to betray yourself. If this message resonates with your soul, say it with me. I honor my truth. I will no longer shrink for the comfort of others. 7. Protect your peace above all. Peace is not just a feeling. It's your soul's natural state. When you protect it, you protect the most sacred part of your being. Yet in today's world, your peace will constantly be tested by those who want access to your energy without earning your trust, by those who see your empathy as a weakness to exploit, and by those who confuse control with connection. Your peace is priceless, and once you realize its value, you'll stop negotiating it with people who never had to earn it. There will be moments when saying no feels uncomfortable. You might worry about being seen as selfish, cold, or distant. But saying no is not rejection, it's redirection. It is the highest form of self-respect. Every time you say no to chaos, to guilt, to manipulation, you are saying yes to your healing, your growth, and your clarity. It's not your job to manage how others interpret your boundaries. Your responsibility is to uphold them without apology. Some people will never understand your boundaries because they benefited from your lack of them. They will call your silence arrogance and label your distance betrayal. But the truth is, when someone does not respect your boundaries, they do not truly respect you. If they only love you when you're available, agreeable, and self-sacrificing, then what they love is your compliance, not your core. Real love recognizes the need for space. Real respect honors a no without punishment or pouting. Protecting your peace sometimes looks like walking away mid-conversation. Sometimes it means turning your phone off and choosing not to explain. It may mean turning down an invitation that comes with strings attached or no longer engaging in family drama just because it's expected of you. It means saying, I choose me, not in bitterness, but in clarity. Carl Jung said, who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. When you look inside and see the exhaustion, the overwhelm, the misalignment, you don't owe anyone an explanation for realigning your life. People may say, you've changed. That's okay. Growth always looks like distance to those who stayed the same. Peace requires letting go of false obligations. You were not born to be someone's savior, therapist, or emotional crutch. The more you heal, the more you'll realize that energy is currency. and not everyone deserves to spend yours. The next time someone asks for your time, your energy, your forgiveness, your silence, or your presence, pause and ask yourself, does this serve my peace? Does this request honor my worth? Does this invitation feel like alignment or a detour into old wounds? If the answer feels heavy, confusing, or forced, the answer is already no. You don't need to defend your peace. You just need to own it. True peace doesn't beg to be preserved. It demands to be protected. Let your boundaries be the guards at the gate. Let your silence speak louder than forced explanations. And let your life reflect this one deep truth. Peace is not found in pleasing others. It is found in staying loyal to your soul. To affirm your commitment to inner peace and self-respect, comment below, "I protect my peace." Let it be your declaration that you choose calm over chaos and boundaries over burnout. Your energy is sacred. Guard it like your life depends on it, because it does. And remember, your energy is sacred. Don't let it be drained by those who seek to control, guilt, or manipulate you under the disguise of love or loyalty. As Carl Jung reminded us, true transformation begins with awareness, and sometimes the most powerful act of self-love is simply walking away. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs this wisdom, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom for more insights that empower your journey. Be sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming videos that help you awaken, align, and rise. Stay wise, stay protected, stay true to yourself. 8 signs that someone close to you secretly hates you. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Carl Jung. Have you ever felt a strange twist in your gut when someone complimented you? As if their words didn't match the energy behind them? That's not paranoia. It's your intuition sensing the shadow self that Jung spoke of. The hidden envy, resentment, and secret competition masked by fake smiles. In today's video on Spiritual Wisdom, we'll explore 8 subtle signs that someone close to you may secretly hate you. These insights aren't just warnings. They're keys to self-protection and emotional clarity. Have you ever experienced this before? Drop your story or thoughts in the comments. We're here to grow and awaken together. Chapter 1. Sarcasm as contempt. When someone close to you constantly masks cruelty as comedy, it's not affection, it's contempt. Sarcasm, when used as a weapon, is one of the most overlooked signs of hidden hostility. These are not harmless jokes. They are precision attacks disguised as playfulness, aimed directly at your insecurities. The words may sound light, but the impact is heavy. You laugh along, but deep down, your soul feels a sting it cannot ignore. The phrase, "it was just a joke," becomes a recurring shield they hide behind. Every time you wince or shrink, they pull it out like a get-out-of-jail-free card. But these jokes always seem to land where you're most vulnerable: your appearance, your ambitions, your values. It's not random. It's targeted. And when the humor consistently makes you feel small, anxious, or ashamed, that's no accident. It's emotional manipulation. Their sarcasm is a quiet way of controlling the emotional climate, of keeping you off balance without ever getting their hands dirty. Carl Jung taught us about the shadow, the unconscious parts of ourselves we deny and project onto others. Sarcastic jabs often reveal more about the one delivering them than the one receiving them. Behind every joke that cuts too deep lies suppressed envy, insecurity, or resentment. Instead of confronting those emotions within themselves, these individuals direct them at you. And because it's wrapped in humor, you're made to feel guilty for noticing, as if your discomfort is the real problem. But your intuition doesn't lie. When your gut tightens, when your spirit dims in someone's presence, pay attention. The person who constantly teases you might not be teasing at all. They might be bleeding their shadow into your light. And no matter how polished their smile or casual their tone, the damage adds up. Over time, you begin to shrink, not just around them, but within yourself. True connection uplifts. It doesn't hide daggers and laughter. If someone's humor consistently makes you feel diminished, that's a red flag one that shouldn't be brushed off with. They didn't mean it. Because the truth is, they did. Maybe not consciously, but their shadow did. And your body felt it before your mind could explain it. Have you ever laughed along with someone, only to walk away feeling drained or insulted? If this resonates with you, drop a comment below saying, "I've felt this energy," so others know they're not alone, and so we can keep diving deeper into the hidden truths that protect our peace. Chapter 2. Subtle Sabotage. They don't stab you in the back. They slice your spirit with tiny paper cuts you're not supposed to notice. Again and again, they forget your big moments. They miss your graduation, your birthday, your product launch. When you need encouragement, they go silent. When you ask for advice, they offer suggestions that subtly nudge you in the wrong direction, disguised as help but designed to derail. This isn't random. It's not bad luck or forgetfulness. It's calculated, quiet sabotage. And the worst part? They smile through it all, making it harder for you to trust your own intuition. What makes it so hard to detect is the way they dress their neglect and politeness. They say things like, "I totally meant to be there," or "I just had something come up," again and again. But when it's their moment, they expect your full attention. They hold you accountable for their needs, but offer none of that accountability in return. At first, you make excuses for them. Maybe they're overwhelmed. Maybe they didn't know how important it was. But over time, a pattern emerges. And that pattern whispers a truth your soul already knows. They don't truly support you. They may not say it aloud, but their actions scream it. And their silence when you succeed? That silence is the loudest sound in the room. People like this erode your confidence, not with open criticism, but with invisible weight. When you talk about your dreams, they tilt their head and give you lukewarm encouragement, just enough to seem supportive, not enough to uplift. They might say, "Are you sure you're ready for that?" Or, "That's a big risk, don't you think?" And when things go well, they minimize your wins. Anyone could have done that. You just got lucky. It's death by 1,000 dismissals. And somehow, you end up doubting yourself, questioning your worth, your ideas, your timing, when the real sabotage wasn't internal, but environmental. This behavior often stems from the shadow self that Carl Jung spoke about, a part of the human psyche that hides the things people don't want to admit, like jealousy, competition, and resentment. Rather than deal with those uncomfortable feelings directly, some people project them sideways, through sabotage cloaked as concern. They don't want to confront their envy, so instead, they undercut you slowly, hoping you'll fail quietly. so they won't have to feel left behind. This isn't always conscious, but it is dangerous. Because while you're busy being honest and open, they're busy plotting in silence, usually under the guise of friendship. In modern life, this shows up in close relationships more than we care to admit. A coworker who never shares credit. A sibling who always changes the subject when you talk about something you're proud of. A best friend who only calls when they need something. They don't argue. They don't insult you. They just fail you, little by little, until you shrink, until you stop asking, until you stop shining so bright, just to keep the peace. But real love doesn't ask you to dim your light. Real support doesn't vanish when you rise. These people are masters of disguise. And if you keep giving them the benefit of the doubt, you'll find yourself exhausted, insecure, and emotionally confused. That's the goal of quiet sabotage, to make you doubt yourself so much that you never notice it was them all along. That's why recognizing this pattern is crucial to your healing. Not everyone who smiles at you loves you. Not everyone who claps is happy for you. And not everyone who says, "I'm proud of you," means it in their heart. If someone in your life consistently makes you feel unsupported, confused, or deflated after interacting with them, don't ignore it. That's not just a feeling. That's your spirit picking up on something your eyes can't see. Don't wait for proof. Their energy is the evidence. Leave a comment below if this resonates with you, and write, "I choose aligned, loving connections," to affirm your commitment to the relationships that nourish your soul. Chapter 3. Silent Competition. Every time you succeed, there's a flicker in their eyes, a pause in their cheer, a shift in their tone. They smile, but it feels like a mask. Because deep down, your success isn't something they celebrate. It's something they measure themselves against. You're not just growing. You're unknowingly challenging their self-worth. What you see as a win, they secretly take as a loss. And instead of cheering you on, they mentally prepare their counterstrike. A story about their own accomplishment, a subtle one-up, a reminder that you're not ahead they are, or at least they want to be. This is not friendship. This is a silent competition. It's not loud. It doesn't scream jealousy. It whispers it in every reaction that feels slightly off. You talk about something you're proud of, and suddenly they change the subject. You shine, and they dim the room just enough so no one notices. You feel drained, not because of your work, but because you're surrounded by someone who turns every moment into a scoreboard. They don't clap when you win. They calculate. They don't walk beside you. They race you in secret. And the finish line keeps moving because they're not in it for joy. They're in it for ego. You start questioning yourself. You wonder if maybe you're just too sensitive. But Carl Jung reminded us, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Their irritation with your growth reveals their refusal to grow. Their envy is not really about you. It's about the parts of themselves they've left abandoned. When your confidence enters the room, it confronts their insecurity. When your ambition speaks, it exposes their complacency. And that's why they compete. Because they don't know how to confront their own stillness. Instead of healing, they project. Instead of evolving, they compare. You were never trying to compete. You were just trying to become. But now, you're caught in an invisible war with someone who pretends to love you, but secretly resents your rise. And here's the dangerous part. You may begin shrinking yourself to keep the peace. You may water yourself down to be digestible to people who never intended to grow beside you. You may silence your joy so they don't feel small. But that's not your job. Your light is not a threat. It's a mirror. What they see in you reflects what they refuse to face in themselves. This is the energy that drains you without a word. The energy that hides behind compliments and claps, but always carries the undercurrent of envy. When hate wears the costume of friendship, it becomes a slow poison. It doesn't attack you, it erodes you. And if you're not aware, you'll normalize that erosion. You'll keep toxic people close because they never did anything wrong. But energy doesn't lie, and silence can scream louder than words. Pay attention. True friends don't compete, they inspire. They don't flinch at your glow, they amplify it. They don't feel threatened by your transformation. They celebrate it because they too are evolving. If your presence makes someone insecure, it's not your duty to dim. It's their responsibility to heal. Did you find this helpful? If so, please comment "awesome" below so we can continue to explore this kind of deep spiritual wisdom together. Chapter 4. Superficial kindness. Their compliments sound sweet, but something in your gut twists. You hear, "I'm proud of you," or "You're amazing." Yet there's a hollow echo behind the words. The smile on their face doesn't reach their eyes. You notice it, even if you try to brush it off. It's that quiet voice inside whispering, "They don't really mean it." This is not paranoia, it's intuition. Carl Jung believed that what we fail to bring into awareness will rule our lives in silence. That includes the hidden resentment behind polite smiles. True friends don't just say kind things. They radiate warmth when they say them. Real support is felt in the heart. Superficial kindness, on the other hand, feels like being hugged by someone who's emotionally checked out. You sense it when their energy doesn't match their words. The conversation feels scripted. They use the right phrases: "I support you," "You deserve it," "Good job." But their presence is missing. There's no real eye contact, no empathy in their voice. Everything about their interaction feels robotic, as if they're acting from obligation rather than care. According to Jung, this is the shadow self in action. Envy, frustration, and competition dressed up in politeness. And though they may never openly say a hurtful thing, their energy quietly drains you. You leave conversations with them feeling confused, like something just doesn't add up. You might begin to notice they only show up when it benefits them. They celebrate your success publicly, but privately, they go silent. When you're struggling, they offer vague support, but they're quick to disappear when you need real emotional presence. A person who secretly resents you won't attack you. They'll avoid you. Or worse, stay close enough to observe you, but far enough to never uplift you. They'll clap with the crowd, but you'll feel the pause in their applause. You'll sense the hesitation behind their congratulations. This kind of subtle sabotage is hard to explain, but your spirit feels the disconnect even if your mind can't find the proof. Their politeness starts to feel like a performance. Every kind word seems rehearsed. Every compliment feels like a transaction. You might start to wonder if you're imagining things, especially because nothing overt has happened. No betrayal, no harsh words. But that's the trick. The most dangerous hatred is not the loud kind, it's the quiet one, masked by etiquette. And if you ignore it long enough, it begins to erode your energy, self-trust, and emotional clarity. Because the truth is, love never needs a script. It flows. But resentment rehearses every word to appear clean on the surface. When someone's kindness lacks soul, when their support feels more like strategy than sincerity, it's not just awkward, it's toxic. And the longer you stay in their energy, the more your own spirit starts to dim. Jung reminds us that we must bring the shadow to light, or else it controls us from the dark. So when you feel that off vibe from someone who's nice, pay attention. You're not being overly sensitive. You're reading energy accurately. Energy doesn't lie. Words do. If you've ever felt the chill behind a warm smile, you're not alone. Subscribe for more insights on decoding fake kindness and building truly authentic connections. Chapter 5. Controlling through care. Their words sound like wisdom, but the result is always the same. Your dreams get smaller. You speak your truth. They nod with concern, and suddenly you're doubting yourself. They say it's for your own good, but somehow you always end up discouraged, hesitant, or quietly giving up on what lights you up inside. This isn't love, it's control, wearing the mask of protection. What they call advice is often their attempt to keep you in a place that feels safe for them, not for you. Carl Jung once said that people who can't manage their own inner chaos often try to control others to create the illusion of safety. Their inner disorder leaks outward, not through rage or obvious aggression, but through soft-spoken warnings, logical arguments, and carefully disguised fear. And because they sound calm and composed, you believe them. You internalize their fear as your own. You shrink, thinking it's maturity. You settle, thinking it's wisdom. But pay close attention. Their concern always flows in one direction, away from your expansion. They never say, "How can I help you grow into that?" They say, "Are you sure? That's risky. What if you fail?" They push you toward comfort, but never freedom. Behind every piece of their guidance is a hidden message. Don't change. Because if you change, you'll leave the version of yourself they know how to control. This kind of dynamic plays out everywhere in families, friendships, and romantic relationships. You tell your mother you want to leave your job and pursue your calling, and she says, "Just be grateful you have stability." You tell your partner you want to write a book, and they say, "You don't have time for that." You mention moving to another city, and your best friend looks away and says, "But everything you need is right here." And each time, you're left wondering if your desires are selfish, immature, or unrealistic. It's not just discouragement, it's emotional scripting. You start to believe that dreaming big is dangerous, that wanting more is a betrayal, that growing means losing love. And that's the real trap. When fear dresses up as care, you confuse control for closeness. Their shadow, the part of them that feels unsafe, insecure, and unworthy, reaches out and quietly steers your life. Not because they hate you, but because they haven't made peace with their own chaos. But you don't owe anyone your smallness. Your vision doesn't need their permission. And love, real love, will never stand in the way of your evolution. It won't cage you to feel secure. It won't shrink you to avoid abandonment. It will walk beside you, even if the path makes them uncomfortable. Because true care is not about control. It's about support, trust, and believing in your light, even when it outshines their shadow. If this message opened your eyes today, leave a comment of truth. I trust my path. I release control and walk boldly in my purpose. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more powerful insights every week. Chapter 6: Gossip and Criticism Behind Your Back. They won't confront you directly. Instead, they chip away at your spirit with whispers. Their words creep through social spaces like smoke, twisting your intentions, reshaping your character, and planting suspicion in the minds of others. Suddenly, you're left wondering why the energy in the room shifts when you enter. Why do people hesitate before responding? Why do friends begin to feel distant? This isn't paranoia. It's a reaction to the silent sabotage of someone who pretends to support you, all while crafting a version of you that fits their insecurities. Carl Jung believed the shadow self holds all the parts of us we reject. And when someone refuses to face that darkness, it leaks out in manipulation and gossip. They don't just talk, they inject venom subtly, so it's not easily traced back to them. They say just enough to raise eyebrows, just enough to make others doubt you. Their smiles remain polite, but their words travel in secret, draining your relationships and your peace of mind. And the reason they do this? It's not your success, your kindness, or even your mistakes. It's the way your light exposes their unresolved wounds. These individuals avoid open conflict because confrontation would require honesty, and honesty would demand vulnerability. Instead, they manipulate perception. They isolate you, not by removing you, but by poisoning how others see you. It's slow, it's silent, and it works if you don't wake up to it. You start to second-guess your own intuition. You tone yourself down. You shrink to make the atmosphere lighter. But the truth is, what they say about you behind your back is a mirror of what they feel about themselves. Their criticism reveals their own shame. Their gossip reveals their jealousy. And here's the twist. They often frame their criticism as concern. "I'm just worried about her," they'll say, while tearing apart your choices. "I just think he's changing," they'll whisper, while resenting your growth. This kind of manipulation is dangerous because it sounds like care. But real care doesn't operate in the shadows. Real friends speak directly, protect your name, and tell you hard truths to your face, not to a crowd behind your back. If someone close to you is spreading rumors, twisting your words, or turning others against you without cause, they don't just dislike you, they resent you, maybe even hate you. And the more you rise, the more their shadow panics. You owe it to yourself to recognize these signs, not to seek revenge, but to protect your peace. Because being around someone who secretly hates you is like drinking poisoned water. It looks clear, but it's killing something inside you every day. Have you ever felt the sting of being misunderstood because of whispers you never heard but felt? If this message speaks to your heart, share your experience in the comments so others know they're not alone. And if you've ever stayed silent while someone twisted your truth, comment, "I choose truth," and let's stand strong together. Chapter 7: No joy in your success. They smiled when you were broken. They clapped when you were trying. But now that you're actually succeeding, they're nowhere to be found. That silence isn't a coincidence, it's a message. When someone close to you quietly withdraws as you rise, it's often because your growth is confronting something they haven't dealt with inside themselves. Carl Jung called it the shadow of the hidden parts of the psyche we disown, but end up projecting onto others. and your light has now become a threat to their darkness. They didn't mind you climbing when they thought you'd never make it. In fact, they were comfortable as long as you were beneath them or struggling beside them. But now, your success exposes their stagnation. Your happiness reminds them of their discontent. You haven't done anything wrong, but in their eyes, you've become too much, too bold, too blessed, too free. And instead of cheering, they retreat. They make excuses. They distance themselves. Not because you've changed, but because you've outgrown the version of you that made them feel safe. It often starts subtly. The congratulations become quieter. The responses to your joy feel forced or rehearsed. When you share your wins, they switch the subject. When you celebrate, they downplay. It's not just what they say, it's what they don't say. Silence in moments of your joy speaks louder than applause during your pain. Because when someone's heart is secretly competing with you, your success doesn't inspire them. It wounds them. And yet, they were always available when you were hurting. When life hit you hard, they had time. When you doubted yourself, they were there with words. But now that you believe in yourself, now that you're shining, they disappear. Because your light reveals their inner chaos. Carl Jung believed that people who can't handle their own inner turmoil often try to suppress or distance themselves from the people who remind them of what they could be. Your success becomes a mirror they don't want to look into. True friends grow with you. They evolve alongside you. They're not intimidated by your wings. They help you fly. But envious ones? They won't attack you. They'll just fade. They'll use phrases like, "I'm just busy," or "You've changed," to mask what they really feel, left behind. Their emotional withdrawal isn't about boundaries. It's about bruised egos. Your joy bruises their pride. And instead of doing the work to heal, they choose the easier route: silence, distance, and quiet resentment. But your progress is not an offense. Your happiness is not a betrayal. And their discomfort is not your burden to carry. You don't have to shrink just to keep someone else comfortable in your light. You weren't meant to stay small so others could feel big. If they can't clap when you win, they were never truly on your team. Growth will always reveal who was clapping from the heart and who was clapping for control. Their silence is their confession. Their distance is their decision. And your continued rise is your truth. Keep climbing. Keep glowing. Let your joy be loud, even if it makes others quiet. Because the ones meant for you will never fear your light. They'll reflect it. Comment below. I celebrate my growth unapologetically if you're done shrinking to make others comfortable. Let's rise boldly and in truth together. Chapter 8. Body language never lies. Their words may say, "I'm happy for you," but their body speaks a different truth. The smile they flash is tight. Their eyes avoid yours. The energy in the room shifts subtly but unmistakably. You feel it. It's not what they said. It's how they said it, how they stood, how they looked away just a second too long. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious reveals itself when the conscious tries to hide. And that's exactly what happens when hidden resentment slips through the cracks of polite conversation. You don't need a psychology degree to pick up on these signals. Your intuition already knows. The gut twist you feel isn't random. The unease in your chest isn't paranoia. It's your body translating microsignals. Stiff posture, crossed arms, delayed responses, shallow compliments. These aren't accidental. They are the unconscious body's confession. The body can't lie, even when the mouth does. And yet, so often, we second-guess ourselves. We tell ourselves they're just tired, distracted, or going through something. But patterns reveal truth. When someone consistently reacts to your wins with tension or withdrawal, you're not imagining it. Their resentment may be silent, but it's not invisible. It shows in the way they change the subject when you share good news. It reveals itself in the forced smile when others praise you. It leaks out in their lack of enthusiasm, the emotional vacancy behind the congratulations. Real friends don't compete with your light. They rise with it. When you grow, they feel inspired, not threatened. When you shine, they don't squint. They celebrate. That emotional presence, that shared joy, is the mark of authentic connection. On the other hand, someone who secretly harbors resentment will always find ways to dim the moment, not by shouting, not by arguing, but by slowly pulling back their energy, their support, their warmth. This silent withdrawal becomes more painful over time, because it's not just what they do, it's what they withhold. They don't clap when you rise. They don't ask how you feel. They don't celebrate your joy with full presence. Instead, they nod while secretly stepping away inside. And that distance is not physical. It's emotional. It's spiritual. It's the kind of quiet sabotage that leaves you questioning your worth, your path, and even your perception. So watch the body. Feel the energy. Trust the space between the words, because the body never lies. The micro-expressions, the energy pull, the hesitations reveal everything the mouth refuses to admit. When someone says, "I'm proud of you," but looks like they're in pain, listen to the look, not the sentence. When they say, "That's great news," but don't ask another question, hear the silence louder than the phrase. Your body knows, your intuition remembers, and your spirit feels every shift. The deeper lesson is this: you are not here to shrink for someone else's comfort. You're not meant to dull your light to protect someone else's shadow. So pay attention to what's unsaid, because that's where the truth lives. To affirm your trust in your inner wisdom, declare it now. Comment below, "I trust what I feel," to honor your intuition and inspire others to read beyond words and recognize the truth that body language reveals. Thank you for watching this eye-opening journey into the hidden layers of human emotion and energy. If any of these signs resonated with you, remember, trust your intuition, protect your peace, and never apologize for sensing what others try to hide. You deserve relationships built on authenticity, not secret resentment. If you found value in this message, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom for more insights like this. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an episode that could shift your perspective and protect your energy. Until next time, stay wise, stay empowered.